Doom, 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 doom. Blast.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Freaks Who Are Addicted to Stuff. I'm your host, Jim Plissett, and joining us today is a very special guest who actually suffers from a number of addictions. Please welcome George. Well, thanks for having me. So George, you mentioned that you're addicted to snapping. That sounds like a peculiar addiction, wouldn't you say? Yeah, it's something I do when I'm nervous, and I'm not sure why. I can't stop myself. Great, well, would you cut that out? It's really irritating. Oh, yeah, sorry. So, George, it says here that you're also addicted to shoes. Well, I mean, I wear shoes all the time. It's like I can't help it. Well, it's interesting. There's a lot of speculation about the various causes of addiction. I'm sure you're familiar with the nature versus nurture debate. Would you care to weigh in on that? Yeah, my addiction definitely stems from childhood issues. Really? What happened, if you don't mind my asking? Yeah, my mom was a huge neat freak. Kind of neurotic at times. She would never let us wear shoes in the house under any circumstances. Take your shoes off at the door, she'd always say. Bitch. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that my addiction stems from that. Interesting. So tell me a little bit more about your addiction, the struggles that you face. Do you find that you spend inordinate amounts of money on shoes? Buying pairs that you know you can't afford? You know, I used to always shop at Payless, and only when they had sales. But lately, the urges have been really difficult to control, and last week I actually shopped at Foot Locker, and I bought a pair at full price. Feels good to get that off my chest. I see. So it sounds like you've amassed quite a collection. Now, I know you live in an apartment. Do you find that you have trouble making room for all of your shoes? Oh, absolutely. I must own like 5 or 6 pair. It's getting to the point where I'm having trouble finding room in my closet for all of them. Okay. But you mentioned previously that your addiction has really gotten out of hand recently. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? You know, this is really hard to admit, but I actually slept with my shoes on once. So it was just the one time. Yeah, I mean, it really freaked me out. I mean, when I woke up and realized that I must have fallen asleep wearing them, I realized I had a problem, and I couldn't ignore it anymore. That was, for me, probably the lowest point. So tell me, George, has your addiction made it more difficult for you to form interpersonal relationships? There's the feeling of isolation, the looks people always give me when I tell them about my addiction. It's really hard. Okay, great. So, in addition to the shoe thing and the snapping, which you're doing a terrific job, by the way, at not doing that, you mentioned that you had a couple of other addictions. Can you tell me about those? Yes, I admit it, I am addicted to wearing contact lenses. Not a day goes by now where I don't wear them. It's like a sickness. I wake up and I put them in first thing in the morning, and you know, I usually don't take them out until after I get home in the evenings. It's really out of control. I mean, I don't sleep with them in. I'm not some kind of a freak. Yeah, that sounds terrible. I know a few people who actually struggle with that same condition. Now, I'm actually told that you are struggling with an eating disorder. Can you tell me a bit more about that? Yeah, the compulsive eating has really gotten out of hand. I can't remember the last time I went the whole day without getting a fix of some food. It's like I don't have any control over myself anymore. Alright, well that's really all the time we have today, folks. George, thanks for coming on our show. I know it must be really difficult for you to talk about all these sensitive issues. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you again next week on Freaks Who Are Addicted to Weird Stuff.